Oh my God, that was, there you go. So you guys may have seen recently on the channel, I got my hands on a very accurate representation, high quality version of the upcoming iPhone 14 Pro Max. Now this is a unit that's fabricated to a specification based on leaks and rumors and typically filtering through case companies and so forth. But it only represented one of the upcoming iPhone 14 models. That was obviously the Pro Max. If you haven't seen that video, you should definitely go check it out. But today I've got a package from China, including a bunch more representations for every single iPhone 14 model inside this package right here. You know I had to bring out my high quality, high caliber caliper, which was maybe the most exciting part of the last video, actually, made in Japan, of course. There we go. Woo, many iPhones. Or at least things that look like iPhones, all in their own individual packaging. You would never ship an actual Apple phone in this manner for obvious reasons. Let's kick it off with this one, why not? No, see, these are nowhere near the quality of the last model. I don't know how much that's gonna come through. Where did that come from? Is that one of the lenses? What is this? That would be the flash cover on the back. It's very light. There it goes again. It's very lightweight, plasticky. I think the only reason that these things exist to sit in a store, to try on a case, the upcoming later case for the iPhone 14. Of course, it'll be launching in a variety of wonderful colors. If you don't have one of these yet, well, that's fine too. If you don't have one of those, that's fine too. But you might want to check them out because I think they're pretty cool. So you can check the link in the description for that. You're probably not gonna buy this one. There's weights in there. Just like straight up weights. What goes into a dummy phone? Dummy phones explained. We could probably crack one of these open and check what those weights are. But first I wanna get through the whole bunch. So this is a big phone, obviously. The notch on the front, very difficult to make out. It looks just like a hole punch style camera. 2 camera units on the back in a diagonal fashion. We're looking at an iPhone 14, big, but not Pro. This, of course, is the development with iPhones. You've heard all the stuff about the mini model not selling to meet the expectation or the necessary criteria to continue to manufacture it. If you're not going to get a Pro model, you can get a bigger plain model, and that's where this one is going to slot in. This is going to be a black version of the exact same thing. And in this case, the flash module is going to stay planted. Same 2 camera setup, same display size. I think this is gonna be a popular model, actually. I think they're gonna sell a boatload of these things because I think many people don't feel like they need the Pro, but they want the new model and they want to have a big screen size. Of course, time will tell, but that is an intuition of mine at the moment. And they both have this offset front-facing camera in the hole punch fashion. Of course, is it final? Is that what things are going to look like? Time will tell, of course. This is another white model, and that's gonna be your regular iPhone 14 standard size, the size of the current generation, very similar in scale. That gives you an idea of the difference there. That's actually quite substantial. This is a big phone. Pro Max territory for those familiar with the previous generation. Look at that. It's maybe ever so slightly shorter, but it doesn't matter. That's a big boy. It is one of the biggest smartphones to hold because you have those flat edges, because it's wide, but of course you get the multimedia improvements. And don't forget you get a bigger battery when you go to the bigger sizes. The last generation of iPhones have been some pretty amazing battery performers. Today's episode has been sponsored by Anker. Now you guys obviously know Anker for their power bricks, which we use here in the studio. More wattage, faster charging, work with any device you might want to throw at them. But you might not know that they make even bigger portable power stations, and that's what we're gonna, oh Jesus, And that's what we're gonna talk about right now. This is the Anker 757 Powerhouse, 1,229 watt hours. The world's #1 mobile charging brand. This is off-grid. This is, oh, the power went out. I'll be good for a bit. It takes 1 hour to recharge all those watt hours to 80%, and it's made of durable automotive grade aluminum. What can this thing power? How about a laptop, drone, fan, portable fridge, coffee maker, microwave? AC recharging in 1.2 hours. You can recharge from your car in 13.8, perfect for the road trip. You can connect a solar panel to it and charge it up in 4.5 hours. You've got 6 wall outlets, 1,500 watt shared output, USB-C up to 100 watts, USB-A ×4, and then a car outlet as well, 120 watt max. Check out this beast. 2 large, durable grab handles. Recharging of the device is gonna happen here on the back. You can see you've got a couple of different options because this is solar capable. You can input through here, but of course you've also got your AC recharge, which is gonna be your fastest option. Or of course you could connect a different source. And then the vast majority of the action happens here on the front of the unit. A large light up along the top by the looks of it with a dedicated button. We have our car socket for charging other devices from here. These are those 4 USB-A ports, 100 watt capable Type-C, and then a separate 60 watt capable. This is gonna be cool for people who have a lot of tech, who wanna charge up something like a laptop, smartphone, tablet at the same time, possibly those other appliances that I mentioned earlier, like a coffee maker, microwave. Those are gonna connect to these AC outlets in this section, also with a dedicated button to turn these outlets on and off. The reason that's important is because then you're not using any power associated from this section if you only wanna be charging, let's say, over USB or possibly the DC car socket. Also in the package, a couple of cables, I presume. Ooh, actually more than that. DC first, so that this can charge from the existing 12 volt inside your car already. AC cable. This is gonna be your fastest recharge option. Because this is so long, I'm gonna go ahead and assume that this is for the connection of a solar panel. And then lastly, this is a big bag. This is a bag for the whole deal. So this is pretty cool as well. You can use the device as a UPS and it'll have a under 20 millisecond switchover time. If you're just using it for your sensitive components, maybe connected to your computer because you always want to keep it charged up anyways in the case of an emergency, your devices will switch over to power from the battery bank without you doing anything, even in the circumstance where you have a power outage. And then you might be curious as well about overall battery cycles. You may have heard that some of these devices can only go up to like 500 cycles. Well, in this case, Anker is saying that this is going to be good for 3,000. And if you want to think about this amount of battery capacity in more practical terms, if you're looking at something like a smartphone, you're going to be able to recharge it 97 times from a pack like this. You could recharge a drone 24.5 times, a laptop 16.8. You could run a fan 35 watt for 28 hours, or a portable fridge for 22 hours, and you could run an electric grill for 48 minutes off this unit. In your house, you could run a fridge 360 watt for 2.5 hours, 12 watt light for 82 hours, a coffee maker for an hour, that's 1,000 watt unit, a lot of coffee as well, a 700 watt microwave for 1.4 hours, or a 43-inch TV for 9. You can run an electric drill 1,200 watt for 48 minutes. You could run a chainsaw for 36 minutes, or a corded trimmer for 48 minutes. I like that they chose the chainsaw as a likely usage. I'm just powering my chainsaw with my Anker. Nice, big, easy to read display. And then I can click this button here and have my nice little lamp in a variety of intensities, which, believe it or not, in a power outage can be quite useful. I like that little added feature. So that's the Anker 757 Powerhouse. Thank you to Anker for sponsoring this episode. Now we are into the Pro Max. This one has the matte finish on the back. Very dark, midnight looking black. I much prefer the matte finish on here. You still have reflectiveness on the Apple logo itself, much bigger camera section. That was something that changed. If you go watch my previous video on the much higher quality mock-up, I'll link that down in the... Yeah, so it seems subtle. I mean, they found a way to kind of sneak it in there, but when you pull the calipers out, you will notice a difference in the scale of the entire camera section. So this whole portion is a little bit taller. Now, the other thing you notice here is it's pretty invisible, and it's been this rumored pill style design for the front-facing camera and other components necessary for Face ID. Very difficult to make out, but the pill is there. There is a pill. On the Pro model, you have the glossy finish versus the more matte finish, but then you get the matte finish on the back side. Scale-wise, these two are identical in height and identical, more or less, in width. Two Max models, one Pro, one not. Obviously, there'll be a price difference between the two as well. Let's keep going, why don't we? Another white one, and that's going to be your regular white Pro with the silver frame around the outside. I have the previous gen. You can see how the fake one is even more mirrored, even more glossy than the actual stainless steel. This is not stainless steel. This is plastic made to look like stainless steel. But still, actually, maybe this is an easier way of seeing the difference in the camera module. The square that the cameras sit on, bigger in all directions on this one. To go with this, in black, we have the regular Pro. Black standard iPhone 14. This must be the white version of the Pro Max. And it is. It's my first time comparing the Max model of the non-Pro variant to the Pro variant. They seem to be very, very similar in scale. This is Apple's new play, their new decision to move away from the mini model and to let the non-Pro customer get a really big display just like the Pro customer on the Pro Max. And then when it comes to the standard iPhone 14 versus 14 Pro, it's the same thing. Size is not gonna be the reason you choose a Pro model versus a standard model in 2022. It's gonna have more to do with the camera setup, possibly the display differences, performance, who knows what the entirety of the spec sheet will look like, and also materials and look could play into it as well, and color choices, because there's going to be a greater variety than what's represented on the table over here. Now let's just go ahead and pull out the caliper real quick and measure. Here we have the width of the iPhone 14 Max non-Pro, 77, right, just barely under 78 millimeters in width. If we go ahead and replace it with the Pro version of the Max, 77.5. Yeah, so that could just be a difference in the materials that are used to construct these mock-ups, but it's very, very close. Less than a millimeter of difference. Half a millimeter of difference between the two. Now, if we go over to the standard size model, 71.47 Pro model, same thing, ever so slightly slimmer. Really an insignificant amount, but ever so slightly. Could be a difference in the materials used for the mock-ups. How that compares to the previous model, a little bit fatter, 71.57, barely though. So spec-wise, if you're familiar with the standard size iPhone 13, iPhone 14 will offer you something very familiar. The wild card is going to be the big iPhone 14 non-Pro, because that's the new model you get to choose from, but it's gonna feel in your hand almost identical, if not completely identical, to the Pro Max model, which is essentially the same format as it has been for a while. If you've held this phone, you know what to expect. We don't know what to expect in every single category, but when it comes to the size of these things and the rough layout, I'd say we have a pretty clear picture at this point, thanks to this variety of mock-up units. And as mentioned earlier, if you want to see a much higher quality mock-up, then go watch the original video, because these are like a cheapo type thing that anybody can buy. The last one was made sort of one of one. When you hold it in your hand, it feels a lot more similar to the real deal. The weight is almost, it's definitely not doing this. Let's go ahead and crack one of these open real quick. Let's crack this one open and just see what it looks like inside. Let's find out once and for all what goes into a dummy unit iPhone. I mean, I'm sure you can obviously guess. There's no screws on this. Am I gonna have to just, yeah. I'm gonna have to just break it, I guess. I've done this before. Oh my God, that was so dangerous. Good thing I didn't, oh my God, that was way too easy to do, by the way. I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to really ream on this for, like, no blood. Wow. Anyway, here we go. That was entertainment right there. This is now actually not sliding around at all. I think it was supposed to be glued in. Some blood. Tiny blood. There we go. So this is completely hollow inside. It's just a hollow shell, very thin glass. As you saw, like I barely even grabbed it and the thing exploded. And the entirety of the weight is provided from a rectangular piece of steel. That was like, just like, do you know what I mean? Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God, that was so dangerous. Good thing I didn't, oh my God, that was way too easy to do, by the way.